clearly retard and slow and reduce the area through which a human being can spread anything, whether it's droplets or even hot air. So it clearly reduces the range at which you can infect, the range in which you can infect someone, and probably the volume of virus particles. So I support the wearing them, but I share Stacey's concern that we don't want to start down this road of where anything can be labeled a public health issue, and we can see the continuing and incremental abridgment of our civil liberties, whether it's by public shaming or whether it's government you're surreptitiously using technology or encouraging technology companies or hyping something so that people are forced to change their behavior in the name of the public good. So we want to make sure that this is a one-off thing limited to coronavirus only.
Yeah, and Sean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't want it as a mandate. I don't want my government telling me I must do this.
Well, listen, that I can somewhat understand the slippery slope argument there, but the mandate is not only for yourself, it's to help the rest of the community. And, I'm here in Florida, and a lot of us want a mandate because we have these increasing out of control numbers. And a lot of us believe if we would have endured a little bit more short-term pain and inconvenience, we wouldn't be in the world we are now here in Florida with regard to how many numbers and the reporting we're having. So there is a give and take here.
Okay, and I guess, Stacey, that's a question some people have is when you see these parties where these people are going out and purposely trying to get COVID, those of us that do wear masks and feel like it is a tool, not the only tool, and we know maybe it's imperfect, we see other people kind of flipping their noses to everybody else. There should be some way to take action against them.
Okay, so I really have to take issue with the idea that, first of all, I wear a mask too. We have like 40 masks here in this house and 2 boxes of the disposable masks. We have them in every car. I also have a face shield. So this isn't about me not wearing a mask or not appreciating what the mask can do. But the problem that I have is the survey you quoted said that people are okay with putting other people in jail for not wearing a mask. You can currently rape someone and get out on bail and then plead it down to like a misdemeanor and go free. But you could go to jail for wearing a mask. There's some inequity here, and it's driven by fear. And that is because the goalposts have been moved so often on what exactly we're trying to do. So I think people would be more cooperative with wearing masks if they didn't feel as if the people who are telling them to do so haven't changed their tone over and over and over again since the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So you're talking about jailing me for wearing a mask. They're currently jailing or confiscating weapons from people here in St. Louis for defending themselves against protesters. There's all kinds of activity going on in America right now that is causing people alarm, and it's driven by fear. So more information, more data, and more consistency would help. Yeah. But I completely disagree and oppose the sentiment being expressed here about jailing people.
Let me give you a real-life example here that you've probably seen the video. It's gone viral of somebody's been dubbed the Panera Patty. It's gone viral. Somebody took a video of this woman refusing to wear a mask inside a California Panera bread company. She even began breathing on employees when they refused to serve her. Here's a quick clip of that.
You're not going to serve me because I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not down with it right now. They're putting all of us at risk.
Oh, you. Come on, you grow the up, lady.
You think that mask is going to protect you? You fart off your ass. You can smell it.
Dude, just grow up.
You think that mask is going to protect you?
Just grow up.
So, Sean, those of us that are out and about, or I should say, John, I want to give you a chance to weigh in here. When you see that, I understand the argument, that's a private enterprise. And I think they should have the right to say, we're not going to serve you. Please leave the premises.
Absolutely, they have the right to do that. It is a private property. It is a private enterprise. In this case, it's interesting the whole masks versus gas debate. with that lady. Wearing a mask does reduce the volume of air that you could contaminate with droplets and virus, and probably smells. I sleep with 3 dogs, none of which wear pants, and they're more effective at smelling up a room than maybe a person is who is wearing pants. But mask wearing is helpful, and it's okay that there's public peer pressure to make sure that people do that, but it shouldn't be compelled, and a business should be able to have people in. Because people can choose to come in or choose not to come in based upon their own personal preferences. So the idea of compelling a business to do something like that is again starting down that slippery slope.
All right, we've got 30 seconds. Sean, I'll give you the last word here.
Clearly, a business ought to be able to refuse service if they believe they're being at risk. But listen, none of us are doctors that I'm aware of on this phone call. The doctors, the vast majority of medical professionals and CDC and WHO people say wear masks, and let's just do it. It's not a partisan issue. Let's just wear masks and keep everybody safe and keep ourselves safe. It's not that big of an inconvenience.
All right, let's keep our crew standing by. We have more to talk about. Thank you, one and all. Folks, when we come back, we do want to talk about another poll. Oh, you want me to stay here? It includes why Florida looks like they're going 51% to 38%. Here are some of the reasons. We're going to tell you some of that. We've got favorability. We've also got, look at the unfavorable for Donald Trump there. Very unfavorable, 56%, even though they're only 43% each when it comes to favorability. And I assume that's something the president's trying to work on. And also, the most important issues, it's actually not coronavirus. The most important issues, do we have that here, or we want to show it when we come back? Okay, we'll show you that. It is not coronavirus, believe it or not. We'll have more of American Agenda after this.
Medical doctor Chauncey Crandall reveals the truth about the coronavirus in his new book, Fight Back. Dr. Crandall says you can beat the virus and avoid infection. Fight Back shows who's really at risk and why high blood pressure is a real danger. Fight Back tells you how to survive. Get Dr. Crandall's Fight Back, a #1 Amazon bestseller. It's in bookstores everywhere. Or go online or call today for the free offer. It could save your life.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mary Clifton. I'm an internal medicine doctor living in Manhattan. Studies show that face coverings can slow the spread of respiratory droplets. I strongly recommend the Boomer Naturals multi-use face cover. It has 3 layers that repel nanodrops and particles. It helps with filtration, and it's comfortable and breathable for all-day wear. The soft cotton polyester blend is enhanced with nanosilver technology for added protection for your nose and mouth. The nanosilver is made to be effective for a minimum of 30 full days of use and costs about 30 cents a day. It's the face cover my family and I use, and the one I recommend for you.
Available in multiple sizes for kids, teens, and adults with dozens of patterns and colors. Boomer Naturals donates 1 face cover for every order to nonprofits and charities, helping tens of thousands of Americans in need. Use the promo code to save 20% at boomernaturals.com. In stock now, ships to you fast. We've got you covered.
There's a lot of sameness among online brokers these days. IBKR stands out in the crowd. We offer the lowest trading and borrowing costs. Our clients have the choice of investing globally or locally in stocks, options, futures, forex, bonds, and funds from a single integrated account. Our premier technology enables you to optimize speed and efficiency, perform sophisticated portfolio analysis, and manage your accounts. Start investing today at IBKR.com.
There was a time when this represented the future. Well, it did to anyone from the 1800s. But this is the future. The future of communicating, of hearing, and connecting with life. And this is Eargo. No appointments, no waiting, no hassles. Eargos are comfortable, rechargeable, and backed by lifetime professional support. And they're practically invisible in your ear. Now you see it? Now you don't. If you have hearing loss, now is the time to do something about it. Because denying you have hearing loss, well, that's the old way.
The introductory price on Neo Hi-Fi, our best hearing loss solution, ends August 3rd. Call or go online now to save $300.
And if you're an active or retired federal employee, you can now get Eargo at no cost to you. Call or go online today. Eargo. Hear life to the fullest.
Welcome back to American Agenda. And you just heard having kind of a virtual town hall discussion. The Democratic candidate, Joe Biden, calling President Trump America's first racist president. Those are certainly fighting words, and that will likely only increase as we get closer to November. Now, in Florida, a brand new poll showing the gap is widening, with President Trump losing to presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden by 13 points. I mean, that's pretty striking. Sean, when I look at that, obviously that's not good. We hear all the things all the time. It's early. We don't know how accurate it is. We've got the margin of error, which, by the way, you add or subtract to both sides. But still, this has got to concern the president. What do you think he needs to do, or how should he read this?
Look, if you think Florida is going to vote plus 13 for anybody, then you don't know Florida. That is just simply not going to happen. Florida is a state, either way, that at most a 4 or 5% win is a landslide in Florida. Most of our votes are 1-2%. So that's a poll that is obviously I like it, but it's not one that I think we ought to take too seriously. But I think what is important to understand is that Floridians, I've seen some approval numbers of Ron DeSantis, and those are slipping fast. The coronavirus response here in Florida, the fact that we're the #1 place in the country, is a problem, and it's affecting people's feelings towards Ron DeSantis, towards the Republicans, and towards Donald Trump. So I think, those numbers are expanding partially because Floridians are just not happy with how this corona has unloaded.
Stacey, what do you think's going on?
Well, first of all, I would point to what we're seeing as happening with the actual infection rates. I mean, people are blaming corona parties for an uptick in the virus. They're not talking about the number of people who are taking tests. We're testing more people on a daily basis than ever before, but also the impact that protests have on the infection rate. People gathering together in these protests, tens of thousands at a time sometimes, but thousands usually, that is going to increase the transmission of the virus. So for people who seem to be so willing to jail others for not wearing a mask, but they're completely oblivious to the impact that huge gatherings have, especially in the types of gatherings that we're seeing with these protests, it's kind of astounding that we don't have the same level of concern about one, but we have that level of concern about the other. Floridians are primarily concerned with the economy and immigration, and so it's not coronavirus that they're primarily concerned with.
Okay.
So I would say the president is doing an outstanding job on dealing with these issues. Obviously, it's every week it's a new development.
Yeah.
It's a developing story. It's something that he is having to manage on the fly. But I think he's doing a good job there. And on the other issues, he's unmatched. Joe Biden cannot compare to the president's handling on the
Stacey, you are absolutely right, because I'm looking, we're still making up some of the graphics because, again, this is new stuff we're getting from Quinnipiac. The #1 concern is the economy. #2, coronavirus. But I'll ask you, John Jordan, aren't these connected now?
Well, of course they're connected. Real fast, Quinnipiac, I looked through that survey and I couldn't find the methodology and how they did the sampling. Most responsible polls do that. Quinnipiac does not. Interestingly, also today, you had a Rasmussen poll come out that showed President Trump's job approval numbers are even. Republicans have had net gains in registration in Florida since 2016. So the idea that President Trump is 13 points behind Joe Biden is literally laughable, because Republicans would have to be deserting him in droves, and they're not. So let's just put that poll aside on that. But it is the economy is a big deal, and they do go hand in hand, because when people have confidence, they will spend, they will go out. But it looks like every part of the country is going to have their turn with coronavirus, and public policymakers are overestimating their ability to control it. You can flatten the curve, you can mitigate it somewhat, but this is kind of like when the Titanic is sinking, running around below decks, shutting doors and windows, thinking that's going to stop it. It's just going to slow it down, and even then, only a little bit.
Well, Sean, you are in Florida, so does this mean that if you happen to be where the epicenter is at that moment, now it used to be New York where we are, and during the time it was the epicenter for a time, I was down in Florida, and as you know, pretty much unscathed, and then that all changed. Do people's political feelings change with that? And so the president is just at the whims of wherever this virus is going?
Well, when you downplay the virus and you suggest that it's not a big deal and you don't wear a mask and you have events in South Dakota where there's no social distancing, while at the same time a state like Florida has numbers that are going through the roof, there's a disconnect. And so there's a disconnect when the president says that it's not a big deal, well, prior to his recent comments, but you can't say that coronavirus is not a big deal. And here in Florida, we are obviously experiencing a huge uptick. That's a big, big disconnect. And so, we're just kind of tired of it here in Florida. And our governor was one of the most outspoken people of shortening the shutdown and getting us back in, getting us the economy back open, and got in a spat with Governor Cuomo, and then demanded that the media apologize to him because our numbers didn't go up. And then here we are today. Floridians are used to dealing with crises, hurricanes, and the such in a nonpartisan manner. Unfortunately, I don't think the response here is being dealt with in the same way.
I will point out Michael Dukakis was ahead by 17 points at one point, and he never became President Dukakis, Stacey, which I'm sure I don't need to tell you. But what do you think changes between now and November in Florida, or what does the president need to do to change perception of people in Florida, other than better polls? I mean, other than having better samplings, because I agree with you, 13%, that nobody's going to win by 13% in Florida. I agree with you, Sean. But Stacey, what do you think needs to change for the president?
Well, okay, so first of all, I just want to point out that you mentioned just into the lead in here that Joe Biden had said that President Trump is the first racist president. And I would severely, I disagree with that a great deal. But we're talking about a man who told blacks back when Romney was running that the Republicans gon' put y'all back in chains. He said to us just recently on the Breakfast Club that we ain't black. You ain't black if you don't vote for Joe Biden. He has also said numerous things documentable on YouTube, so there's no chance of anyone denying what he said, that he absolutely he holds a different view of black people. He feels ownership over the black vote. He feels, that he has to speak to us in a certain vernacular in order for us to understand him. And that, to me, is a part and parcel to the reason why he's not the choice for president for all Americans, because blacks are just like every other group of Americans. We have concerns that are economic and fiscal and with health and with jobs and with our children, with education. We are functioning human beings in this society. We shouldn't be spoken down to. And if he's saying that President Trump is a racist, how does him talking to black people like that, what does that make him? So I think President Trump is going to continue to go out there and get the message out. He has to work against a media that is 100% against him. He doesn't have any fair reporting. The media does not treat him as a viable candidate. They treat him as the enemy of the people. And what we have to do is get out there and tell the truth about that. Yeah. And I think we're going to win.
Racial relations is the third leading issue here.
I wonder.
Yeah, go ahead, Ed. I remember, Sean, and we've only got like 30 seconds. I remember when Joe Biden described then candidate Barack Obama as clean and articulate, which, again, kind of code words.
Yeah, listen, nobody's perfect. I'm not here to tell you that I go to the Church of Biden on Sundays. I'm here to tell you that I believe Joe Biden is a far, far superior candidate than Donald Trump on every issue, and especially race. And that's a whole nother show if you want to discuss race and which candidate is better.
I don't want to leave John Jordan out. Last word, John.
Real fast, the Democrats have to scream racist right now for two reasons. President Trump is actually running even or slightly ahead with black voters and Latino voters than he was in 2016. Vice President Biden's lead right now, such as it is, comes from white voters. So the Democrats need to gin up. They can't have that trend continue. Okay. They have to drive that horse. And so that's why they're using such extreme language. And they're going to have problems with turnout, with kids not being in school, universities not being open, and that younger black voters tend to be far more progressive and are less enthusiastic about Joe Biden than older black voters. Are they going to turn out? Are they going to turn out for someone who's a leftist elected during the Nixon administration? Okay. That's why the hyperbolic language.
All right. Thank you. one and all. And back, we're going to have more on American Agenda, including the fight to reopen our schools we were just mentioning amid the coronavirus pandemic. And be sure to check out Dr. Chauncey Crandall's new book, Fight Back. In it, Dr. Crandall writes about how you can beat the virus and avoid infection. You can get Dr. Crandall's Fight Back, a #1 Amazon bestseller in bookstores everywhere, or you can go online and do it.